Hello everybody, it's me, Tronbite, and welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about the Hermitcraft mailbox system, but without using shulker boxes. So I'm going to show you in this video how I redesigned everything, or came up with this design rather, and go through everything that I've changed. But first, let's go ahead and actually send some mail in this thing, shall we? We have some incoming mail right here. Let's see what we got. We got a bunch of Nether ports, so fantastic. Let's go ahead and send this to, let's pay a favor to the next person. In this case, it's going to be Mailbox 2 because we are Mailbox 1, which is also on Loop 1, which I'll get to later. But anyways, we just need to put Mail 2 down, so that's fantastic. Let's go and send this crap, shall we? Let's follow it down too. Down it goes. And here it comes. As you can see, the minecarts are now on the main rail, and they're traveling. They did not go there, which is perfect, because this is where Mailbox 2 is. They went through there. And as you can see, the chest minecart is going all the way up, and the skies are also very gray, which is fantastic. But as you can see right here, the minecart is traveling smoothly. And you can see, I'm just going to push this mailbox out of the way, because it's apparently received some mail too. And here it comes, ever so slowly. Oh, and the jump scare. And this one apparently has a bunch of poisonous potatoes. Now this guy's whoever lives here is getting a bunch of crap. Either that or they're gonna be very happy with the experience. Now I'm gonna show you how what the guts of this thing look like. Or at least for this mailbox anyway. The blue circuit basically powers the green circuit when on, and the purple circuit when off. The purple circuit, its intended purpose is to release these minecarts onto the rails, just to prep them up for the next person so they don't have to load them up manually. They could just have dispensers do it for them. You could also put hoppers here as well, or maybe even a chest system up here that has extra space right there, so you really don't need to worry about minecarts. But that's assuming if you have a surplus of iron. Now this hopper minecart here, again, that controls all of the stamps and whatnot. You can opt for a chest minecart if you want to, but I find it's easier to just have them be completely different from each other rather than the same thing, just because I don't want there to be confusion, so that's why I did it the way I did here. Anyways, this green circuit, when this piston is powered, the green circuit turns on because this repeater is hitting a powered block, which is technically this concrete powder. Because let me just show you, actually, is there anything? Yes, there is stuff in here. Let's just punch these real quick. I'm gonna show you what happens when this is plugged in. Yeah, this repeater turns on because this redstone is going in there, just like that. That's what that's doing. Now, I'm just gonna press the button just to get new minecarts and stuff so I can dump this crap again. But there is a 1 tick delay between this chest minecart and this hopper minecart firing. And the reason for that is because the chest minecart would get stuck on the, or coming into the nether portal, or on the nether side of the mail system. That's another thing that happened. So that's why there has to be a tick delay like so. But apart from that, that's all the main redstone of this. There are command blocks here, but that's just to keep these things filled up. Now let's go ahead and talk about the stuff down here. There's no packaging system or minecart creation system down here. The minecarts literally just fall down. They managed to use gravity to get both the shulker box and the stamp down here, and they assemble it into a minecart and it went in just like that. But we don't need to do that in this case because we're just using falling minecarts. The minecarts will just fall down and then they just go and automatically just go into the portal right here. The red block here represents the outgoing mail and the green represents incoming. So let's actually go on the incoming trail and just show you how that works. As you can see here, we have the hopper minecart disposal. Literally, its only purpose is to collect hopper minecarts. So what will happen is, if I go into spectator mode, thank you, you can see under this rail here, there is a roughly 1 second delay because there are 2 redstone repeaters going at 0.8 ticks total, and each redstone torch adds another 0.1 ticks or second or whatever you want to call it. So this equals out to about a second, which is slow enough that the minecart with the minecart hopper will go here, but it will switch so the chest minecart goes here and goes up into the waterfall instead. Now, a quick note to mention is how the direction goes for these rails. In a 4-way intersection or 3-way or whatever, it will always go in the southeast direction. So keep that in mind when you're doing stuff. If you want to have everything inversed, you're going to need to plan for that accordingly. Basically what you need to do is you need to make sure that the torch is powered so that it goes this way. If you don't want it powered, make sure there's nothing powering everything. And look at that, the rail's already pointing back there. That's how rails work, and rails are kind of stupid. But anyways, let's go up here with where the chest minecart would go. It just basically goes along this path here and goes accordingly like so. Now you can replace a good chunk of this with rails. Like I'd say go up to here if you really want to, but I personally like just seeing the minecarts just slowly coming down to the incoming mail. It just makes it extremely funny for whatever reason. But you do you, however you want it. Just make sure that you keep like roughly these 2 blocks here with water, or maybe even just this one if you really want to have stuff out. But you do have to be coming here rather frequently, because if you get too many of these and they're in a straight line like so, they're gonna eventually clog the system and you won't be able to receive incoming mail effectively because everything is gonna be jammed here and just repeatedly bumping up against the rails. So you might wanna check your mail. It's just like an actual post mail box or something. So now let's go ahead and go into the Nether side of things because we have to go into the Nether to show you the magic. So as you can see, we have the outgoing mail in red once again. Incoming mail is in green. We'll get to the incoming section in a bit. The outgoing deliberately has a snaked out delay like this. It's important to note that these rails are separated by a block and there's air in between all of them, just like that. Obviously, some of them are right up against the edges, but that doesn't matter. Basically, you want to keep this as clear as possible. And you also want to give a minimum of 1 block space because I found that in testing, if you had 2 minecart trails running parallel to each other, the chest minecart could actually get stuck on the hopper minecart and would be stuck and wouldn't actually do that. So it kind of didn't make sense to have that in place. So I decided, you know what, let's just go do this and have it work out like this. Now this area kind of goes against what I said just like literally a second ago. But the reason for that is because there's no way that chest minecart and the hopper minecart are going to be right here. The chest minecart is not that far behind from the hopper minecart. They won't even be close to hitting each other. And then of course the delay goes onto here. The whole reason for this is because minecarts have and all entities actually, except for players, have a 15-second delay in which they cannot enter another portal. So it's important to keep that in mind. And we can't use repackagers here, or rather, we can, but it's going to be extraordinarily inefficient because we're working with an actual chest here, not just a simple shulker box and stamp. This is the main loop right here. There is another loop over here. I called it loop 2, and it's basically the exact same thing. It does run counterclockwise. Literally, it's just a separate mail loop. It's basically like area codes almost, but you don't need to have the main loop going all the way over here. You can have the main loop be the same size here if you don't want to like go through the trouble of expanding it further. You can have a separate mail loop going that way or something, or this way, whatever way you want to go, and it will be just fine. It'll function basically just like an actual address, but you also need to put the address in it as well, which is why we kind of need these hopper minecarts here. So let's go ahead and actually show you this in action. Or this minecart in action. Let's go load this up with a mail 2 actually no, let's do mail 1. We'll put another loop, we'll put a loop 1 because that's the other loop. And let's just show you the system right here. As you can see, it's going into loop 1 thanks to this system right here. It's basically an item storage system, but explicitly for up the goat. It's glitched. Basically, it's an item storage system thing ripped out of the item storage or the sorting system. It's literally just ripped out of that and used to detect mail. So as you can see, we got more mail incoming, which there's literally nothing. I just mailed an empty package to this guy. That's the second one he's gotten. Oh man. And this is why you kind of need to push these aside, because the minecarts are kind of annoying. You kind of have to answer your mail quickly, or else that will happen. Now, of course, you could go ahead and improve the idea and just have like a dedicated collection area. I just wanted to create something to show you all how that's working. So let's go ahead and send something back to mail 3. We're going to send nothing because it'd be funny. And as you can see, it's going down just like that. It's going through the system just fine, just like that.
Hello there.
And as you can see, it's going to go to loop 3, just like that, or loop 2 rather, and it goes to mailbox 3. Just like that. Perfect. It made it to its destination. Now yes, this is very rudimentary. It's literally just for showing you a very basic version of this without having to do another whole mailbox system in the overworld. Setting these up takes a very long time. Let me just tell you that. You need to have a pretty big time commitment. This is an item sorter stuff effectively. When a mail 2 gets detected here in the hopper, it gets put in here, which sends a 1-tick signal to this thing here, which powers this rail, or unpowers it rather. And then this 4-tick repeater does the same thing. It just extends the signal so the chest minecart can go in, and all is going to be fantastic. Now you may notice that this area here is not powered, versus this is powered. And that goes back to what I said earlier about the southeast rule. You need to be wary of where that is. So you may need to adjust your settings accordingly, like right here actually. This is a 4-tick and a 3-tick, and this is a very terrible design by the way, but I mean, this was my first go at it, if I'm being honest. But as you can see, I used slabs here so that the signal could not travel downward, but it could travel upward. So this would power this, which would prevent it from going southeast, and it would just go in, just like that. Whew, that was a lot of explaining. So now let's go over to mailbox 2 and mail something, because I feel like mailbox 2 needs to do that. Let's go send some of this stuff here over to mailbox 1, because we want to be funny. Let's just get them back for once. As you can see, it goes down just like that. And we're going to follow this into mailbox 1 system. And it goes around like that. As you can see, the minecarts do not collide to each other. The minecarts do look a bit glitchy at times. Do not worry, that's just Minecraft being Minecraft. And as you can see, the chest minecart's going up. And the hopper minecart, well, it looks like I also have a cactus farm in here. But yeah, the hopper minecart gets disposed in there, and the chest minecart goes up like so. Now you may have noticed, this system here looks way different, or the back-end system looks way different than the other system that I mentioned earlier. The reason for this is because this was my first attempt. Do not use this, but I will go and show you anyway how this would work in the event that you don't have, if you're having a very huge shortage of pistons, I guess. Or if you want to do this the hard way. So this blue circuit would actually power both these pistons here when on, and when off, these purple circuits would turn on, and they basically do the same thing as the mail 2 counterpart. It's just the main difference is, as you can see, there are redstone torches like so. These are not at all nicely done whatsoever. So I would advise you not to be like me for this one, and I would encourage you to use the other system. The receiving system, however, is pretty much the exact same. Basically, if I go back to the spectator mode, it's literally the exact same thing. Only in this case, it's a 0.9 tick because we have to have the repeater powered, and 0.9 seconds is enough to have the chest minecart go that way. So, but yeah, that's the mail system. Now, a couple of little things before I end the video are the chuck loaders. You may have noticed that this design doesn't feature them. And the reason for that is because I felt like when designing everything, I didn't need to put them in there just for demonstration purposes, because I'm showing you how everything's working. So I didn't feel like I needed to put them in there. But if you want to go see how to do those, you can check out this video here showing you exactly how to make them, or just like check out Etho and Tango's stuff on how they made it, because they can explain this better than I can, if I'm being honest. Basically, chunk loader loads a chunk when there's minecarts. When no minecarts, then it doesn't load it. That's as simple as I can get it. In addition, you can't mail yourself through this system because there are nether portals. I already tested that. It does not work fully. Not to mention the gravity system works a little different with regular minecarts compared to just minecarts. So you'd have to modify the system to accommodate for players and whatnot. And at that point, you just might be creating a subway station. That's really everything I've got. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below. Again, this is for 1.20.4, so there's no autocrafters, there's none of the new stuff that's coming out. As for going back in different versions, I don't know how far back this model could go, but it does rely on shulker boxes, so possibly it really depends on minecart physics and stuff like that. But from all I know, it works in this version, so you're free to use it for as much as you want. And of course, feel free to make this design a little better, because as it says right here, this is a not well built mailbox, because I wanted to make a very, very rudimentary design for the building. I didn't want to do like an actual full-on design, just because I felt I didn't want to be building something for explaining a prototype. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please maybe leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this in the future, please consider subscribing. If you want to, you can also check out my Twitch over at twitch.tv/CompactLive. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.